welcome back to BB Review. I just want to carry on talking about chord symbols, and this time about extensions to chords and what actually happens in the chord symbol. Now I'm looking at a video by Adam Neely. Right, somebody called Emma Borison. Now she's asked, so why are the tension notes counted as numbers above 9? Example T9, that's tension 9, and T13, as opposed to the scale degrees, which are counted as numbers below 8. And she's put scale 4. So what it is anything that's not a chord tone you call a scale tone. So like if you were say you had a C major chord, which would be C, E, G, so you've got first, third and fifth, that would be chord tones. So the second would be a scale degree 2, you see, and the fourth would be scale degree 4. Now tensions are counted much higher above the octave, T9 and T13. So she wants to know, why is that? Why do you can't call it a T9 and a T13 as opposed to a 2 or a 6? So let's have a look what Adam Neely actually says. I guess the idea is that tensions are synonymous with extensions, the classical concept. This is where you extend the basic chord beyond the octave to the 9th, 11th and 13th. Scale degrees are not intended to be part of the chord voicing itself, so they aren't analysed in this way and are notated within the octave. That's the best explanation I can come up with, and I didn't design the system, blame Berkeley. Right, now this is a bit strange, this, because it's explained fairly well in Berkeley Harmony, so I just don't understand why he doesn't understand this. But he says scale degrees are not intended to be part of the chord voicing itself, but they are, aren't they? I mean, it's a suspended fourth, contains a fourth, which is a scale degree. So, so you do get, and also, if you look at Johann Sebastian Bach's music, you get seconds that are suspended, twos in the chord. You get the third replaced by a 2, so you do get scale degrees in the chord. So I don't understand that, but I'll tell you how I interpret what I actually read from Berkeley. Remember that I actually did an online course. He actually attended Berkeley. I actually did an online course on harmony. So I will explain my interpretation of extensions, which I think is much better than his interpretation. Okay? We've got a G chord here, GBD, G major chord, in C major. I've just written it in C major as simple as possible, so I'm not writing the incidentals. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is, Adam Neely in that video says that you don't normally put second, scale degrees in, but you actually do. I mean, if you put that there, you create a 6, don't you? You know what I mean? That'd be G6. So you do put scale degrees in. I mean, that's not called a 13, it's called a 6, you know what I mean? Because of its position. Now, the thing about tensions is, let me just explain what a tension is. I'm going to put a 9th in, so I've put an A in there. So this chord would actually be G add 9. That's how it would be called. Right, G7s and stuff are something different altogether, which I know most of you know, but we're starting right from the beginning, so I'm trying to get this across to the beginners. Right, what it is a tension. Why a tension is called a tension is because there's an interval there of a 9th, which that's a major 9. Right. But there's also other intervals. This here is a minor 7th. And then we've got this interval here, from this D to A, which is a perfect 5th. So you've got 3 intervals, right? That's making 3 intervals. It's making the interval there, which is a minor 9th, with the root. With the third, it's making a minor 7th, right? And with the 5th, it's making a perfect 5th. Now it's got a perfect 5th, right? A minor 7th, and a major 9th. All those elements are making that this chord sound different because it's reacting with all these other intervals, okay? And because it's got a perfect fifth, which is a consonant interval, and then a minor seventh, which is a dissonant interval, and slightly dissonant, and a major ninth, which is slightly dissonant, right? It's called a tension. It's not a really bad note. If it were a tritone, you'd say it were a dissonant, straight dissonance. But because it's got this perfect fifth, which is nice, this major ninth, which is, yeah, it's a dissonance, but it's mild, and a minor seventh, which is mild. You know what I mean? If you play an interval of minor seventh, it's not going to sound horribly bad like a tritone, you know. So it's called a tension because it's not a consonant, it's not a dissonance. It's that note is making a different sound. You know what I mean? Now it's a sound called a tension, and it's a tension that's not totally at rest, so it wants to move on. So tensions can sound nice. They can be notes you hear and you wanted them to go on, and then when they do resolve, you're thinking, oh, that's quite nice. You know what I mean? What that guy did, you know. Obviously some kind of tensions, people like to hold them, you know, like blues notes, which are kind of like tensions on major chords, you know, your minor sevenths, minor thirds, etc. People like the actual sound of them, so that's another kind of tension, if you know what I mean. Only a different, you know what I mean, because that's different to this. I don't want you too much thinking about blues. We're going to talk about blues later on, but in this situation, just think of a ninth as a note that has a relationship, an intervallic relationship with the other members of the chord. Now the thing about a second is, if I can just draw that again. Right, so the thing about a second is this. We do put that in. Right, that's a second. That's it, that's a second. So if you're actually saying a second, you're just playing an interval. If I put that in and make the chord up like that, that's no longer a second because it's having relationships with this third and that fifth. So that is a ninth now. I know you could put it there, but what you're doing is you're putting that there, but it's still a ninth because it's got a relationship with these two other notes. And that indicates 9, not 2. 2 is just those two. That's a second. But that's not. If that's having a relationship with these notes, what you're saying is it's a ninth. It's indicating a presence of, even though it's a different position, it's a presence that is including these two. You see, that is an interval a second. You can't call that a second, which is that interval, and then have a relationship with these two. You've got to be at the position of a ninth to have a two. So even though I've put that there, with these two chords, that is still called a ninth. It's just in another position. If you play it, it sounds like a ninth in just a different position. In fact, I'll play it on computer so you can listen to it. So you get that. So the reason why that is called a ninth is because it has a relationship with these two notes. If it didn't have a relationship with these two notes, if those two notes there didn't exist, right, and that's all you had, that's what you would call it a second. It would be called a second. Okay, so you get that. So I'll leave you to think about that, and we'll carry on with next one with some other next video. I don't want to make these videos too long and give you too much to think about. Okay, so see you at next video. All right, bye.